What's going on, everybody? I just got done with my workout today, and it was by far the hardest workout that I think I've done in probably 2 months. And what I want to talk to you about, because I think this is a perfect opportunity, is a topic that seems to keep coming up in my coaching programs when I'm talking with my clients, especially now that we're being stuck at home. And that's the concept of self-sabotage. And maybe you're feeling this way. Maybe you're feeling like no matter what you do, you can't reach that end goal. You keep getting really close and then you self-sabotage. Maybe your goal is you want to lose some weight and you find yourself snacking every night. Maybe your goal is to make more money in your business, and yet you end up just watching Netflix for a couple hours rather than making phone calls and building your clientele or whatever it is, right? You keep hitting this wall. So I wrote down some of the things that came to mind when I was doing my workout today. And why I think this was so hard and where this concept comes from, and maybe you can relate to this, is I set a very high goal for myself this month to show up every single day and do 350 double unders and 200 burpees to give myself a good total at the end of the month. What happened was yesterday, because of time reasons, I only got half of my workout done in the morning. I only got 5 rounds of 35 and 20 done. And I told myself, when you get back from playing golf, when you have some time after dinner, whatever it is, you'll do the other 5 rounds. It'll be okay. You'll be right on track. Well, one thing led to another. We get caught up in dinner and doing some fun activities as a family. Miss Ruby over here, she really wanted to go to the beach, and we had an opportunity to do that. So, long story aside, I did not get that extra work done. Now, in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what? Nobody would really know if I don't do the work. It's not that big of a deal. In the grand scheme of things, I'm still going to be doing 10,000 double unders and 6,000 burpees. To miss 5 rounds of that, to miss 100 burpees and 500 something double under, it's not that big of a deal, right? Yet, all night and all morning, that was eating at me. And I was like, you know what? Nobody else would know, but I would know. And it was this thing where even throughout the morning, I didn't want to do my workout. I wasn't looking forward to it. And as I got started, it was really hard. I was hard getting motivated. And I thought, you know what, I could just give up. I already slacked off one day. I can slack off another day. It's not that big of a deal. As I got closer, as this conversation's going on in my head, though, I get to this aha moment of, you know what, if I just do 11 rounds for the next 5 days, I'll make up that 5 rounds that I missed. No big deal. So I go through, I do my 10 rounds as normal, and I squeak out an extra 11th round, and I'm feeling better. But something magical happened. When I pushed myself to that next level, I got that 11th round done, I was like, no, screw it. You're already here. You didn't want to do it today. Just do all of them. So I ended up doing 15 rounds today, which was, I think it's like 525 some odd double unders and 300 burpees. It was a ridiculous number, and I definitely didn't want to do it yet. Because I overcame that incredibly difficult obstacle, I feel better now than going into it, and I'm even more fired up, which is why I wanted to share with you guys some takeaways that I had. And one of the things that I think most of us neglect when we're in this state of self-sabotage is that the goal that we have for ourselves, the direction that we're going, the place we're trying to get to, is not big enough. Right, and I've talked to some people in my coaching programs about this. Maybe they were a tour player for a while and they never quite made it. Well, just to get to being the level of a tour player and playing on the mini tours and traveling around the country is a huge, huge ordeal. The thing is, if that's your goal, is I want to just make it on tour, then you've already tapped out. And it's like there's this dissonance inside our mind that says, I don't want to complete that goal because now my self-identity has changed and I've accomplished that thing that I've set out to. The drive that I have has been geared around playing on tour. Now I've played on tour, and if I complete that, then I don't have anything to work towards. And the thing is, that goal is not big enough. if we look at the best players in the world, their goal is not to make it on tour. Their goal is to be the best player that's ever played, to win majors and so forth. If your goal is to be one of the greatest players that's ever played, if your goal is to win multiple majors, then making it on tour, to get your PGA card, to get a PGA Tour win, that's just a stepping stone along the way. And that leads us into a couple other points of today, which is about really, once you have that goal locked in, it's about creating momentum by accomplishing small wins before you go into the big wins. So the question then becomes, I like this idea of an alter ego. So if you think of yourself as, say, a superhero, when the time comes to make a difficult decision, it's not what would you do in that moment, it's what would the superhero version of yourself do. Okay, when you look at it from that perspective, not what would Clark Kent do, but what would Superman do, and you make the decision and take the action that the superhero would do, you ultimately become that person. You become the kind of person who takes those actions. If your goal is up here, what are the things that that person does? That's your alter ego, then do them. Then what happens is you are in alignment with the direction that you're going. And when you align the actions that you take with the person that you want to become, you ultimately become that person. And you prove to yourself, I can do this. I've already done this. This is something that I can do. I can get uncomfortable and accomplish things. The key here, though, is that even though your big picture needs to be obscenely huge, the steps to get there need to be incredibly small. Because if your goal is, I want to be a winner on the PGA Tour, I want to put on the green jacket, I want to win the Masters, if that's your starting goal, you're going to fail way too much on the process of getting there to be able to keep that momentum going. But if you set micro goals for yourself and create habits along the way where accomplishing those micro goals is a natural byproduct of just doing those things, then you build momentum, and this is what we call habit stacking. And this is a big topic of conversation in my coaching programs right now. Take that massive goal, break it down into the smallest thing that you need to do right now that you can prove to yourself that you do every day. This is where things like my 30-day challenges that I'm doing on here on social media come in. It's like, let's just show up every day and do something physically and mentally challenging. It doesn't matter how grandiose it is, just do it. Right? You need to prove to yourself that you could show up every day and get uncomfortable and accomplish those things, then take that momentum and do bigger and bigger and bigger things. To do 300 burpees like I did today, I had to start by doing one, and I had to start by just doing it every day and building up the capacity. And if I hadn't done that, there's no way my body and my mind would be capable of doing what I did today. Yet, because I put the work in starting months ago, years ago, that was something that I was able to do. So take this big grandiose idea that becomes your superhero persona, and you need to embody it when making difficult decisions. When you do, you're going to be in alignment with those values, and you're ultimately going to become that person. You start small, you build that momentum, you get wins. In that way, you're not self-sabotaging because there's always that next step to go through. You don't hit that wall. When it comes down to that decision of, do I eat ice cream or do I have an apple as a snack or a dessert at the end of the day, you don't have to make that decision. That decision's already made. The kind of person who gets to this grandiose goal is not the kind of person who lays on the couch and watches Netflix and eats ice cream. The person who does this says, I have extra time, I'm going to go for a quick jog around the neighborhood. I'm going to work on putting in my living room. Whatever it is. The hardest thing about staying on track is having to make a decision that's uncomfortable in the moment. But if you've already made that decision ahead of time and you're in alignment and you've proven to yourself that you can do it, it's an automatic behavior. And your identity shifts and you become the kind of person who accomplishes those things. And that's just a byproduct of what's going on up here. Now, I'd love to talk to you more about this. There's so many layers that we're not even able to touch on here. That's what my in-depth, in-person coaching programs are for. The social media stuff is great to get you fired up and get you inspired, and I encourage you to try it on your own. But if you can't, that's what I'm here for. I'll help you out. Just reach out to me because that's what this community is all about. So I hope this conversation on self-sabotage and how to overcome it has been helpful. I do have a little habit PDF that I've put together that jumpstarts this part of the process. You can go ahead and find that or DM me for it. I'd be happy to send it to you. But as always, move better, play better. And I'll talk to you next time.